There we go. All right, Torvik projected Big Ten assists per game leaders. I put them down here. I did forget to put the numbers. I apologize, but hopefully you can read numbers well enough. If you're listening on podcast, the top 10 goes Braden Smith, 5.9, Jeremy Fears, 5.7, Ace Baldwin Jr., 5, Brock Harding, 4.8, Bruce Thornton, 4, Dylan Andrews, 3.9, he's from UCLA, Trey Galloway, 3.4, Shellstad, I forget his first name, at Oregon, 3.3, Kylan Boswell 3.2, and then Jacoby Gillespie at Maryland 3.1. Kent, give me some of your thoughts here. Anybody too high on this list? Is there anybody you think they're not nearly going to be that high? Let's start there. Anybody too high, and then we'll get to too low.
Well, immediately the first thing that jumped off to me was anyone on Iowa being on this list, and especially someone on Iowa that I don't know yet and haven't seen play. So I would say that, Brock Harding being that high, I would say I need to see that first before I can say, that Brock's going to be a top 5 guy in the conference when it comes to dishing the rock. But the counterpoint to that would be that Iowa always scores a ton of points, and somebody's going to have to be getting those assists. It might as well be him. So I guess I'm kind of arguing with myself on that one. I don't hate the top of the list, but then I'll go back to the same argument I just made for Brock or against Brock about Jeremy Fears. Like, he's going to be second in the conference. We haven't really seen him play yet. Like, that's a pretty bold prediction just to say that right off the rip, especially when we just got done talking about maybe his supporting cast, especially on the block, is not going to be something that we're very excited about. So who's he passing to get all these assists? Is he passing just to Jaden Akins and who else? I don't know who else he's going to get these assists from. So
Xavier Booker, but
yeah, I guess I don't know. That's pretty bold to say that he's going to be second in the conference in assists. So I would say that those two kind of jumped off the list. The rest of the list didn't really, as far as the top 10 goes, none of it really surprised me though.
Yeah, Brock Harding kind of surprised me as well, but if you look at his numbers, like assist percentage, assists per 40 minutes, assists per 100 possessions, he was right up there with Elijah Hawkins and Braden Smith, so the whole argument there is that he just didn't have the usage last year. Tony Perkins was 4.6 assists per game. If Brock Harding was in there and he got 40 minutes per game, he actually would have led the conference in assists per game or assists per 40 minutes, which was 9.7. Elijah Hawkins, oh, so sad, with 9, and then Braden Smith 8.8. And I just say so sad because he's not back this year. I wish Elijah Hawkins was playing in the Big Ten again. But I mean, that's your top 3 right there. And then if you go to assists per 100 possessions, it would be Elijah Hawkins 13.6, Brock Harding 13.4, and Braden Smith 13.2. So, I mean, he had the numbers to be up there. He just didn't have the minutes played or the usage in order to be up there in the average per game. I think Jeremy Fears as well is too high just because we haven't seen him. I think he's going to be good. I don't know if he's going to average 5.7 just because we haven't seen him. I mean, you're eventually going to get assists somewhere. Tom Izzo is going to have somebody running the point of this team that's going to be able to get assists. So it's going to be somebody from Michigan State. And if Jeremy Fears is the one who's starting there, it has to be him. And then my other one, I don't think Trey Galloway is going to be that high for Indiana. I think that Miles Rice is going to be much more the ball handler and distributor there. So I don't know why they have Trey Galloway ahead of Miles Rice. Maybe I'm missing something there. Maybe they've been something in practice that has come out that I've not seen, but I don't think it's going to be Trey Galloway that high.
No, it's not. I don't think you're missing anything. And I'm going to go back one beat real quick because I watched a ton of Iowa basketball last year. I don't remember Brock Harding touching the floor. This man played 10 minutes a game. How am I not remembering this guy at all? Was I too focused on Tony Perkins last year? Was that
Probably.
my problem?
Yeah,
that had to have been my problem. I was just zoned in on him the entire game. There was a comment from Jeff Parks too. He had the same comment as you. He said, for IU to have a successful year, they need Rice to have more assists than Galloway. Well, they also need Rice to have more assists than Malik Renew, I think. And if I'm reading this list right, he's one beat ahead of him at 14, and then Miles Rice is at 15. So there's technically two guys on Indiana that are in front of Miles Rice, and Jeff is absolutely right. Miles Rice should be the leading assist man for Indiana. So I'm right with both you guys on that.
Yeah, I mean Miles Rice has to be up there. I mean, you need Miles Rice to have over 5 assists per game in order for Indiana to be successful this year. Now, if Trey Galloway really steps up and starts providing that more, sure, he could be under 5. But the way that Indiana is going to operate this year, and the way Mike Woodson wanted, what's his name, chaotic dude last year. Everybody said he was going to be good. The point guard last year that was just complete chaos his entire time there and got ejected. And all kinds of
Number
fouls.
0? I can't remember
Yeah,
his
whatever
name
his
either.
name was, I forget. But anyway, he
I'm gonna
you
look
know,
it up.
like he was not able to deliver the way that Mike Woodson wanted him to. So if you have a point guard in there that's actually running the offense in such a way that's not Gabe Cups, then I mean that's what Indiana's going to have if they're going to be successful this season. So I like Bruce Thornton up there in the top 5. I kind of feel like he's going to have more than 4. I don't know. Maybe I'm too high on Bruce Thornton. I think more like 4.5 would be my guess, but we'll see. He was good last year with his assists. He had 4.8 assists per game last year. So I don't know if they're just projecting that the production will be down because of Michi Johnson and he's going to be holding the ball more. But I like to think with Michi Johnson out there, you have a better shooter than Roddy Gale was. So you might be assisting more to him than you were with Roddy Gale.
Yeah. That guy's name, by the way, Philip got it before I could look it up. It's Xavier Johnson. He was number
That's
0,
right.
so at least I got that part right.
You did. Good
But
on you.
yeah, no, I'm right with you with Bruce Thornton. Like I said in the previous segment, I'm high on him this year. I think he's going to be right there in Player of the Year conversation. If he's near the top 5 in assists, I think he'll also be near the top 5 in scoring as well, regardless of what he does with assists. Those things are not correlated. I think he's going to be top 5 in both of them, though. Yeah, I think he's going to have a great year, and that's one of the reasons I brought them up as a team that's getting disrespected, because I think he's going to be one of the best players in the league this year.
He has to be. If Ohio State's going to be a top 5 team in the league, he has to be.
He will be. He will be, JR.
All right.
Will you
All
believe
right.
me for once?
I believe. Philip says Harding could be higher because of Iowa pace of play and the lack of other ball handlers. True. Josh Dix is going to be starting out there with him. And he's not. I mean, he's basically a scorer. Really, not much else other than that. So, I mean, maybe he develops in that more into his game, but Josh Dix is mostly a scorer. So,
yeah.
All right. Guys that are too low, maybe guys that are too low in the top 10, or if you want to dig somebody up like a Miles Rice, we just talked about him, so maybe we already talked about too low, but was there anybody else that you thought they're way down there, they need to be much higher?
I'm going to talk about Miles Rice more in the next segment, so I'll skip him for right now. I'm going to bring up another guy that we just talked about, though, and I'm going to say Jaden Akins from Michigan State. He's all the way down at 51, and the reason why I bring him up is because what we just talked about. We don't really know what we're going to get out of Jeremy Fears Jr., so there's a potential that Izzo is going to do Izzo things and say, hey, I'm going to rely on a guy that's been here for a couple years that I trust, and he might have to run the offense. He might have to be the guy bringing the ball up and say, this is our guy right now that's kind of controlling the pace and going to get the ball in the right spot. So I think that Jaden Akins being down at 51, he could be scratching the top 20, top 15. And if he has a really good year, and if things really go sideways with Jeremy Fears, he could be in the top 10. So I'll bring his name up as one person.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think Jaden Akins, that's part of the reason why Jeremy Fears probably won't be that high is because you have Jaden Akins handling the ball and probably getting some assists as well. And you're going to need that if you want Michigan State to be good this year. They have Trey Holloman ahead of him, and they have, who was it? Richardson. Yeah, Jace Richardson tied with Jaden Akins. I don't see that this year.
Wild.
Jaden Akins, yeah, he's a senior. I just don't see that happening. Philip says Kaparis Chakunis. I think I said that right. If I did, give me a high five.
No, you did not say it right. Not even close.
They have him down at 57 at 1.7. I don't know what it is with Jakunis.
Jakukonis.
KJ, that's right.
KJ,
That's what
yeah,
Shap said.
KJ.
KJ. I don't know what they have going on with KJ right now. Like they have him at 7.1 points per game, 1.7 assists per game, only 3.5 rebounds per game. I think he's going to get a lot more usage than that. Well, actually, they have his usage up at 21, which is a pretty high usage. So
Yeah, but out of those three numbers, I think assists would be the last thing that I would be arguing for him to be higher on. I think I would say points and especially, I think rebounds would be number one. Like, I would expect him to get more than 2 rebounds a game next year. I hope.
he had 3.5.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said
Sorry if I said that.
1.7 for rebounds.
Okay, no, yeah, 1.7 for assists. Sorry.
Okay. So yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't know how much he's going to be passing the ball. I have no idea. He
I
feels
think
like
they're just kind of sleeping on him just because he's coming over from Europe and it's hard to figure that out.
Yeah.
I don't know. Torvik seems to have a hard time with players like that every now and then.
I don't mind him down there though. Like I would prefer if I was an Illinois fan, I would prefer him to be down there. I want that guy scoring. I want Kylan to do all the passing. I want him to control the offense. I want him to give it to KJ so that KJ can go score. Like I would want Kylan to be near the top of the league, and he is in the top 10. So if I'm an Illinois fan, I'm fine with that.
What's crazy though, I just realized is KJ is their second leader in assists.
No, there was one. I think Ty Rodgers was up there too. Yeah, he is. He's at 31.
Oh, okay. All right. He's at 2.1. Okay.
Yeah.
I just scrolled too fast and didn't see it.
He is third though, so
yeah, still. That's not very high. Ace Baldwin last year had 6 assists per game. I don't know what the thought process is for him to go down to 5. An entire assist per game going down seems to be a little troublesome. I mean, they do lose their big man from last year, and I don't know who is their big man this year. I just saw his
Puff
name
Johnson.
earlier. Is it Puff Johnson?
I think Puff Johnson's still on the roster. I think.
Okay.
He cannot be relied on as their big man though, right?
No. Well, that was the Penn State problem last year. Is they didn't really have a reliable big man on offense. The guy last year could rebound, but he really wasn't a threat on offense.
I was going to bring Penn State up as a team that gets disrespected, but they should.
Well, if we had enough time, I was going to be like, okay, what teams get disrespect that deserve disrespect?
It would have been Penn State immediately. Just for this year. Like, I love Penn State normally, but
I like them too.
They are definitely in a rebuild, though.
I think Mike Rhodes is a good coach. He's just got to get a big man.
I do too. I like him.
Yeah, I think he struck out on most of his big men in the portal. So, Jeff says the MSU base has wanted Akins in the 2 slot instead of the 3 for 2 years. They want him scoring the ball more than distributing.
Yeah, I think what my argument is though that like who's the backup point guard? I don't really know. I'll be honest.
Is it Trey Holloman?
Who?
Trey Holloman?
I guess it would be him.
I think he was the one coming off the bench last year to play.
When you said Trey and then something with a aloe in it, though, I immediately thought of Trey Galloway, and I was like, he transferred to Michigan State. I forgot about Holloman, the headband guy. Yeah.
I think that would be the
Cohen. Man, he's
Cohen
wild
Carr,
with the ball,
maybe,
though.
but no, he's not a point. He's not a ball handler.
He seems like he is. Maybe he's not. Maybe he will be under control next year. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I just feel like I don't know. Maybe I'm reading this wrong, but I just feel like Izzo's the type of guy that's like things are going just minorly sideways. He's like, screw it, give it to Jaden, let him take it up. You know what I mean? Like just so quick, like an angry Jaden, go get the ball.
He does get.
That's
angry.
what I would do.
We know that. We know he gets angry. So
yeah,
I don't know how much he reacts to his anger, but. All right, let's talk about Braden Smith really fast. Braden Smith, 5.9. The dude had 7.5 assists per game last year. Him and Elijah Hawkins were 2 of the best in the nation. I think they were 2 of 5 players that were averaging more than 7 assists last year. I think that it's close to that stat if it's not that exactly. I haven't checked. But, I mean, do we think Braden Smith is going to take that much of a drop-off just because Zach Edey isn't there? I mean, he still has Trey Kaufman-Renn. It's not like Purdue has no big men at all. So, I mean, what are your thoughts there, Kent?
Yes, I do think it's going to take a drop off because Zach Edey's not there.
1.6 assists per game drop off, though?
I don't know. Maybe that's a little extreme. I could see at least 1, though.
I could see like 6.5, yeah.
Well, here's what we would have to do, and I didn't do this. And if you know what, if I had more time, JR, I would have done this tonight.
You're not dog watching. What do you have? What are you doing? You're not dog watching.
That's true. I could have sat up here with the dogs. I do have kids too that I take care of. And
Wow.
my wife was working late tonight. Shout out to my wife for actually making money
Okay.
for our family.
Good job, wife.
Yeah, thank you, wife. How many of his assists were to Zach Edey though? That's what you would have to do, and then go do his assists last year without any of the assists that went to Zach Edey. If you could look that up or figure that out, and I would have if I had more time in my life, then you can make a more accurate assumption of what's going to happen this year. But the problem with doing that though is you're completely taking somebody off the floor. And this year, somebody will be in that position. It's just not going to be Zach Edey. So you can't really just say, oh, he had 200 assists to Zach Edey or whatever it was last year, and now he's not going to have those. Well, no, someone's going to be there. It's just not going to be the best player in the country anymore. So, yeah, I see a drop off. Yeah, 1.6 from last year, though. That is pretty dramatic. I don't know. He's
There
still leading the
has
conference. What do you want from him, man? Are Purdue fans still going to be mad? Like, oh no, he's only going to average this much. Like, no, he's still at the top of the conference. Relax, everybody.
Well, yeah, he's going to be one of the best players in the conference this year. Russ would argue that he's going to be the best. I don't know if I buy that, but yeah, I mean, CPB Analytics has so many stats. I feel like there has to be a
We got
stat
to
in
be able to
here
look
for
that up.
that.
Someone in the chat look that up.
If you have CPB Analytics, go look
Yeah.
it up. But yeah, I can't find it. So, all right. Any more names you want to mention before we move on, Kit?
I don't think so.
I think I'm good
I
too.
wanted to mention Brooks Barnheiser just because the last 3 weeks that we've talked about this, he's been in the top 10, and he is the top guy for Northwestern once again. But he's top 20, so I don't feel like it's worth mentioning. But is he? I mean, if he's going to lead Northwestern in every single category this year, we got to give that man some respect, right?
I would think so. Yeah,
I
I
will.
would
I'll
think
do
so.
it. Friend of the program, I'll do it.
Okay, so I looked up Braden Smith assists to Zach Edey, and it gave me a Braden Smith that plays for the Indianapolis Colts. So wrong.